Mayor Jim Strickland and the Memphis Office of Youth Services presents True Blue Tuesdays with Ike Griffith.
Welcome to another edition of True Blue Tuesdays. I'm your host, Ike Griffith. Why was Crime Stoppers established? We'll find out with my guest, Director Buddy Chapman, right after these messages. Stay with us.
Join us virtually every second and fourth Tuesday of each month from 4 p.m. until 5 p.m. for Mayor Jim Strickland and the Memphis Office of Youth Services True Blue Tuesdays, understanding the law, law enforcement, and an individual's rights. Join us on YouTube at the Memphis Office of Youth Services YouTube channel.
Welcome back. My guest today is Director of Crime Stoppers, Mr. Buddy Chapman. Mr. Chapman, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Why was Crime Stoppers established?
Well, it isn't a question of why, it's really a question of how. I was the police director at the time, this would be 1981. Had a very distinguished individual. He did a lot of things politically here in Memphis, Bob James. And my secretary came in and said, Mr. Bob James and Mr. P.K. Seidman are here to see you. They didn't have an appointment. I said, well, show them back. And they said, we've just seen a very interesting thing in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We've been down there on something. It was something called Crime Stoppers. And they said, this is a program where people who know who committed a crime, know who where someone is being searched for having committed a crime, said they get paid a cash reward. And we think it would work well here in Memphis. And after we had talked about it, they had explained it, I said, I think it would be superb. But we got a little bit of a problem. How's it going to be run? They said, well, we want you to set it up because we don't have any money, any personnel, or any place to set it up. I said, well, I can solve two of those things for you. I can put off-duty officers running it, and I can give you a portion of the police boxing gym where you can have office space. But I said, the money's up to you. And so they went to work, which ultimately wound up with Mr. James leaving $1 million as a trust fund for Crime Stoppers. But basically, what it is, and it's a wonderful program. We solve about 25, 30 crimes a month. We catch all sorts of people who are wanted for all sorts of things. We solve at least one murder a month and have solved up to 6. But basically, it's a program where you can call totally anonymously. We don't have caller ID. We don't know who you are. We actually don't want to know who you are because we know who you are and we can be made to tell. But you call in and you say, I know who did this, I know who did that. We check to see if that really happened. If it did, then we turn your information over to the police department. The police department investigates. If in fact that information results in the solution of the crime, they come back to us and they say it helped, it was essential, we wouldn't have known anything if we hadn't gotten that tip. And then based on those factors, my board decides, well, we will give this much money for that information. You were told to call in every Tuesday from the time that you give us that information. And just like today, people are calling in on information that they gave us in November, and we will pay those people anonymously tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you where we're going to do it. They know. Nobody else knows. We don't know who they are. You come in, we say, what's your tip number? They give it to us. We say, what did you call us about? They tell us. If those two things are correct, then we hand them that amount of money. We give anywhere from $150 for someone who has violated their parole to $1,000 for a murder. And we do it every month in and month out.
Okay. What about our young people? Are they involved in solving crimes also, and can they get checks?
Well, they can call just like anyone else. However, about 3 years ago, I realized that it was difficult for students, young people who are in school, they can't, they can call, even that's difficult because they're not supposed to use the phone in school. But secondly, they're really not able to come to a payoff. Payoffs are the first Wednesday of every month at noon. So I started a program called Trust Pays. And that was really very interesting because with Trust Pays, the way I designed it, they can go to any member of the school that they trust. They can be anywhere from the principal to the yard man. And they can tell that trusted individual what they know. I then pass it on back through the police department, just like I would any tip. And if that information develops into a solution of it's actually aimed at guns, weapons, drugs, and violence in the schools. But what's been wonderful about it is the fact that we have young people who have told us about drive-by shootings and chop shops and sexual molesters and all sorts of things that don't have anything to do with schools. So yes, young people can definitely really be an essential part of the whole issue of addressing crime. Because let's face it, we talk about crime, that it's a police problem. Crime's not a police problem. Crime's a community problem. And who is more essential relative to the community? Who's going to grow up to be the community? Who's going to grow up to run the community? It'll be the young people we're dealing with today.
Do you see a big increase in youth violence?
Oh, we see a big increase in violence, period. And that translates to youth violence. Unfortunately, what the adults do, the young people anyway. We all know that. And so therefore, one of the big things that I work on with young people, and I think is most important, is the word because. We don't want to get caught up that in what we tend to cover over the criminal activity. Well, they did it because of this, they did it because of that. You can come up with a because for anything you do. And so therefore, it's important that the young people know and the young people realize that the because that resulted in them doing criminal behavior, whether it's adult or a young person, is irrelevant. There's some things you just plain shouldn't do. And that ties into another factor that troubles me personally, and that is the tendency of the community. And I would have to say this is particularly true in the African American community. Well, it didn't happen to me, so therefore I don't need to be worried about it, because what happens to someone else today could very well happen to you tomorrow.
Do you think retaliation is a big factor in people not coming up and speaking up?
Well, yes and no. Retaliation is a non-entity in terms of Crime Stoppers, because, as I say, we're totally anonymous, and no one knows who you are, no one knows who gave us that information. And the real truth of the matter, the old saying that at some point everybody knows everything is true. Because even the most solid gang, people in the gang know when they say something to the girlfriend or they say something to the family. Where retaliation is a factor, and this truly troubles me, is in the drug trade. Because they operate and they are able to operate by the use of retaliation, and quite frankly, that's your drive-by shootings. Unfortunately, with the drive-by shootings, and this troubles us and it troubles the police department, it's so often the person who gets killed didn't have anything, they had the wrong address, they had the wrong person. There was a kid playing in the yard, and they didn't intend to kill the kid, they intended to kill the guy sitting on the porch. Crime is something that is just a real bane on this community, and the only way it's going to get solved is I go back to it. It is a community problem, and the community is going to have to say enough's enough.
You know, you once was a police director for our city. Community policing, how important is it?
Very important. The relationship between the police department and the community that they police is absolutely essential, and that's why this is so dangerous. These instances of police misconduct and police overreaction is that they eat into the trust that the community has for the police. And actually, I've had occasion to lecture on this nationwide, and I always tell police agencies and police administrators, the critical point in this is if you mislead the community or you say something that's not true, that they know, sooner or later, somebody knows everything. They know it's not true. Then it gets so that the legitimate thing that your agency or your officers did comes under suspicion. Well, they lied about that, they lied about this too. I think the biggest mistake police agencies make is no comment. When I was police director, I never gave a no comment. What I would do is I'd say, I can't talk to you about that right now. But when I can, I will. And they knew I would.
You know, trust pays, as you mentioned earlier. Do we still have that in our schools now?
Well, to the extent that we still have kids in the schools, that's the problem, is the school system is in such disarray with the COVID thing. But at the point that the kids are in school, sure, and we still do get tips from the schools, but unfortunately the schools and the trusted individuals are not together anymore. And that brings up something that I think it was of interest to me. When I started trust banks, I wondered who they would trust, who would be most likely to be the trusted individual. We bounce it around. Would it be the homeroom teacher? Would it be the coach? As it turns out, overwhelmingly, the person the young people trust the most is the police officer, school security officer, whoever the law enforcement presence in the school. And these officers develop these cadre of young people who tell them everything, not just who's committing crimes. They tell them things are wrong that don't have anything to do with crime.
How is Crime Stoppers funded?
Crime Stoppers, I'm glad you asked that question, because it's very important for everyone to know that we exist off donations. We do not get any money from out of the city budget. We do not get any money out of the county budget. We do occasionally get a grant, a law enforcement grant, but these are not regular things. So what we count on and what we exist on is private and corporate, personal and corporate donations.
So if a person want to give a donation, where do they send it? Can you give that address?
Yes, and it's totally tax deductible. You will get a letter back from us thanking you for your donation and advising you of our tax ID.
So is a post office box, can you give us the address?
Well, Crime Stoppers is at 600 Jefferson Avenue, and they can send it in by mail. They can call 528-CASH and ask, where can I give a donation, and they would be told that. I think the 528-CASH is the safest thing, because that way everybody in town knows that number.
Knows that number. Well, Mr. Chapman, I want to thank you so very much for coming on our show today and giving that valuable information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Right, well. It is so very important to have outreach programs in our city to help our young people to become productive individuals in our society. Today, we're going to talk about an outreach program, Clippers, Cops, and Conversation, giving our young people in the barbershops a time to express themselves and just talk about issues that concern them. Our guest today is Officer Clarence Campbell, and he has a guest that I would like for him to introduce.
Today we have Christopher Wooten from Decal's Barbershop.
Okay. How important is it to have an outreach program like Clippers, Cops, and Conversation?
Well, it's a great opportunity for the citizens and to interact with public. Understanding the four pillars of what we call a community, such as churches, schools, barbershops. We can kind of say community centers or mom and pop barbershop, convenience stores. So these are where the community come together, get some dialogue, have political talks, sports talks, So we recognize their place in a barbershop, and especially as myself as a lad growing up, those are conversations where males get together, old and young, and have that conversation and open dialogue.
Do you see it being effective in our city?
I see it can be effective in our city because, again, you're talking about adults, children having that voice, seeing their mothers or fathers that inside the barbershop talk. And especially when you make it an event such as Clippers Cops and Conversation, where we come in to dialogue. Now, this is an opportunity to say what you want to say, get to know the officers, especially inside their community.
Christian, in your barbershop, is it taken over to be embraced for our young people to get involved and just have those conversations with the other barbers and yourself?
Oh yeah, I think it's extremely beneficial because I think there's nothing better than an understanding and a good relationship. And so, appreciative of Officer Campbell for giving us this opportunity to cultivate a good relationship because sometimes people in the community, you look at the cops, you see them with the badge, and you say, oh man, really, you look at them, the officers, as if they're the bad guys. Mm-hmm. Then sometimes the officers look at the young, especially being a young African American male in Memphis, Shelby County, they say, man, watch out for them, they're crazy. You know, so I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding, but this has provided an opportunity for people to talk and just to really get to know each other. Officer Campbell is so cool and down to earth. We came into the shop, it came, we bought food and drinks, and a lot of these other officers pulled up, they were in the area, they knew about it going on. And then some of my clients, you know, officers or parents of, some of the kids I service, they just pulled on up, you know. Everybody, man, what are all police cars doing outside the shop? And I just told them, man, look, we got a great thing going on.
You know, building relationships is so very important. You know, Director Rollins talked about that also. But it's the same police officer that's coming into barbershops on a regular basis. No new faces. Am I right?
Well, yeah. When I first started, when I approached Christian Valley, and the first question they look at, and it's always, when you don't know that police officer, who you looking for? What can I help you? You know, are you coming to lock somebody up? And then when you come to bring that gift of conversation, that friendship, and after that, you know, like you said with the Director, I was trying to build it, cultivating that relationship, and we getting out there. It just changed the whole room when I said I want to do this. And then we get a chance to educate and understand, because understand this about the barbershops. And then, like I said, when you walk in the room in this uniform, from the clients to the barbers, who you looking for? And when I left out to say I'm looking for a conversation, I want to help, because we know that people full of ideas and thoughts, and some experiences are built off of somebody else's problems. And this is what they say about the police. So now we got an opportunity. You're hearing it from me. What are you guys looking for on traffic stops? So we can talk about those, fingers, those spirit fingers. Just want to see fingers. If you find it, just leave them up there. You know what we're looking for. We know what makes a traffic stop can be bad or good.
How many barbershops are we in right now? We have many barbershops in the city. Well, but is this something that we can continue to grow?
Yes, and that's why I'm encouraging all barbers, anybody that owns a barbershop, welcome the police in for this particular conversation. It only can help your clients. It can help you. It can help the people in your community. This is what we're trying to establish in the community outreach program, the relationships. And we just, again, I've been turned down. I felt sometimes it wasn't right. But when is it going to be the right time? That's why I ask all barbers, take this opportunity, look inside, invite an officer in, and to have that conversation, because majority of them are your clients. And so this is an opportunity where we can actually help and aid investigations. This is an opportunity where we can build relationships.
What are some of the conversations, Christian, that you all talk about in the barbershop when the police officer is in there?
He definitely told the truth. One of the first things that come to mind, when you see an officer pull up, everybody start looking around and say, okay, who's out here? What are they coming for? Who are they looking for? You know, what is the objective? So, but it's a very pleasant thing for just to know that, see, it's a difference when you see Officer Campbell pull up. You look at him and say, oh man, that's Officer Campbell, man, come on in, what's going on? It's because a relationship has been established. But then when someone pull up and you don't know the intentions of that individual, because even though these are, you know, officers of the law, they're supposed to protect us, not all of them are the same. But this is like anybody, you know. So you don't want to, you know, as old folks say, you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, because there are some good in it. So as far as the conversation, the first conversation what will come on is again, who are they looking for? Why are they here? And then it's interesting how he just made the statement that he's tried to go into other shops. Someone turned him down. And to me, it just kind of shows just a breakup in the relationship. I think if anybody knew Officer Gamble, they say, man, where you been at, bro? You know, because he's a great guy. And I believe there may be a lot of other people with similar heart or concern. We can work together if possible.
You know, we got to build that trust, you know, and I get it. We have to build that trust, and just coming in and just talk about clippers, cops, and conversation. And we just want to talk. Dialogue. What are some of the things that you see that need to be changed when it comes to law enforcement? And that's the reason that we have this program, to really kind of educate our young people on the law enforcement, and an individual's rights. But in order for us to build that relationship, we have to go into the establishment. We have to talk about why we're there and what we're trying to be there to accomplish. Not to arrest no one all the time, but the thing about it is building that trust so our clients, your clients, can understand, hey, it's not so bad after all. Do you think that's going to be a difficult challenge to be able to get in other barbershops?
No, it's sometimes it's going to take a community buy-in. And then when we talk about a community, we just as Christopher is the owner, just as we have principals like Dr. Hunter at Whitehaven to invite you into their schools, it just takes the owners. It takes the owners to buy in. Because if you get the owners to buy in, the other barbers to buy in, you get the principal to buy in, the teachers to buy in, so you get a chance to get close to the kids. So it's a great thing when we can get those community stakeholders, the owner of the mom and pop stores, the community center directors. We can get all those people to come in with an educated thought of policing and to help. Because at the same time, we are recruiting. We are looking for more police officers. We want more people over here on this side to help.
You know, what about our beauty shops, the hair salon, you know, for our young ladies and ladies in the city? Is this something that has been established also?
It has not been established yet.
But it's a good time to start.
It is a good time to start. It has been talked about as having curls, cops, and conversations. So it has been, I said, but I would welcome a beauty shop owner to call the Memphis Police Department Crime Community Outreach, the Crime Prevention Office, to ask about coming in to just set aside 2 hours to have some dialogue. We can talk about stats. We can talk about experiences. We can talk about how to get in touch with certain individuals on the job if you need help. So these are opportunities. It was the greatest 2 hours, and it went real fast. Yeah. So it was the greatest power 2 hours. And I was encouraging that when we're going to do this again.
Do you think it'd be difficult for our female officers to go into the beauty salons and hair salons and start this process? Because I think, you know, women will be apt to conversate with another female than a male coming in. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be hard. Okay. It just takes a little opportunity, a little dialogue, and at the same time, we encourage to be diverse. We encourage to have male white officers, female white officers. We encourage, Latinos. We encourage a lot of diversity when it comes to these conversations. Because no matter what, when it comes to girls or clippers or cops in the conversation, don't forget about the diversity. We want to touch all and help all.
Why do you think it's so much violence among our young people? What are some of the issues and things that you think that are contributing through so much violence among our youth?
We'll let Chris touch on his piece, and I can kind of come back.
Okay. Well, to be honest with you, man, I think, if you don't mind me putting a plug on the other question you asked.
Yeah, that's fine.
We bought one of our top stylists here in the city, Ms. Ashley, and she's a phenomenal young lady. Phenomenal stylist. But at the time we did the initial, interaction conversation, she wasn't on the team yet. So now she's a part of our team. I definitely believe that she would love to be involved in that, because these are the mothers that raise the boys that are getting locked up. And not just the boys, but also the girls. So, they say all the time, they say it takes a village. But villages are built from families. Families are built from individuals. Men and women. It's getting haircuts and curls. So it's a unified effort. With that, I definitely think that we'll be looking forward to our next conversation. This time we'll have more ladies involved, as well as, some of the female officers. So I think that'll be great. I also don't think that they will have an issue with it, because you asked about it being men interviewing young ladies or just having a conversation with it. One of the things that come to mind with that is it's about solutions. I think that if you're having a conversation, if the person is serious about solving the problem, I don't care if you're white or black, male or female, young or old. If you have a solution to my problem, well, let's have this conversation. So I definitely think the door is open for that. At DCAS, there's always an open door, and I would encourage others to do the same. You asked me the question about
the issues.
I think it's a combination of issues. But I guess it's just like any big task. You can only handle one bite at a time, one concern at a time. But I think having a conversation is a start. Then home. It all begins in the home. But it almost sounds cliche to say it, because we all say that. But then we ask the question, okay, if it all begins at the home, what is it that begins at the home? Because if this is what we're getting, well, what in the world is going on at these homes that's causing this uproar in the streets? So now you have to go back to the home to be teach, to be trained, to be built, to be molded. So I think that it's going to take some focus, some commitment, and some people that's serious about solving these issues. And that's to answer your question.
We're just about out of time, but I was going to ask also, if there are barbershops in our city, how can they contact you and get them started in this outreach program?
Well, you can call it the Community Outreach Program Office of the North Side. We're at 2466 Prairie, and you can call the City of Memphis Crime Prevention Office, which is headed by Major Green, and she would basically be able to get in contact with us. We can come out, do an initial consultation, and get set up a time, preferably on a Thursday, preferably like at 5 to 7. And so we can kind of get some people in, invite everybody in, from politicians to pastors and to parents as well, just to come out to have this conversation and dialogue, and hopefully we'll be able to solve the problem and aid some investigations.
Well, I want to thank you all both for coming on today. And I do want to see curls, cops, and conversation. So I'm looking for you, Officer Campbell, to bring in someone from the ladies' side to come on our program and talk about it. But I think it's a dynamic outreach program, and I hope our young people get involved, because we really want to make sure that they have a successful adulthood. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more True Blue Tuesdays right after this. Stay with us.
Being a Memphis police officer allows me to serve my community and empower children on how to handle peer pressure and make better decisions. I help them choose to lead lives free from violence and substance use. Through community policing, I know I'm making a difference.
I am Cassandra Leak, and I'm the best in blue. Apply today, and you too can become the best in blue.
We are reimagining policing. To apply, visit joinmpd.com.
Welcome back. It is so very important to have outreach programs in existence to help our young people navigate into adulthood. And one such program is called Repairing the Breach. Take a look at this video courtesy of WREG Channel 3 News.
Repairing the Breach transforms the hearts and minds of youth through their ministry program.
Listening.
Antoinette Dinkins knows firsthand. She was 11 when she first heard about them.
During that time, I was going through a lot. I had just lost my stepfather, and I really did lose myself.
She was able to get the emotional support she needed.
I was loved on. They listened to me. They were there for me. There wasn't a cutoff time. Whenever I needed them, they were there.
Antoinette is now their program director. She's able to share her experience with the younger generation.
Whether spiritually, whether emotionally.
Kemion Green was 10 years old when he was introduced to Repairing the Breach.
I played basketball in the community, and basketball at the time was the only thing that was really just keeping me away from making a wrong turn at any given moment.
Over the years, Kemion immersed himself in everything RTB had to offer.
Club crossover on Fridays, small group devos, academic enrichments, as well as we had a small mentor group that we would do where we had outside mentors come in.
And now?
Well, today I am the owner of Bold Light Branding Company, the co-owner of the Culinary Experience Catering Company, and part owner of the Paid Investment Firm.
Repairing the Breach gives children and teens the tools they need to succeed. Dion Byers knows firsthand as well. He actually snuck in to hang out with the middle schoolers since he was too young.
Well, they had so much fun, and I was like, man, I want to have some fun as well. And so they would do things that us elementary kids wouldn't do, and I was like, man, I can do the same thing that they can do.
The biggest skill Dion learned?
Leadership. Right away, just being a leader, knowing that you don't have to be a product of your environment. You can actually be a leader in your environment and cause change in your environment.
Repairing the Breach is a group truly making change in our community. And our anonymous donor knows the importance of reaching kids at a young age. That is why they handed over $1,000 as a thank you for guiding our leaders of the future.
Outstanding. My guest, the founder of Repairing the Breach, Ms. Felicia Wade, and the director, program director, Ms. Antoinette Dinkins. Thank you all so very much for coming.
Thank you.
How did you all come up with the name #1, Repairing the Breach?
So Repairing the Breach came out of the scripture in Isaiah 58:12. It says, "Those from among you shall build the old waste places, and they shall be called the repairers of the breach, the restorers of places to dwell in." And so we got that scripture because we grew up in the Alcibar community, my husband and I, and the community had taken another turn from when we were younger. And so that scripture really spoke to my husband's heart that to build this community back up, and it's going to start with the youth. And we're going to build a foundation for many generations to come.
You know, I was looking at the video, the news story, and it was so powerful. You know, how are we getting our young people involved in the process to be wanting to become a part of an organization like yours?
That's a great question. Well, we go into the schools. We're a support system for all of the schools in our community. So our staff and our team go into schools and we develop relationships with the students in the community, and we invite them to the program. We tell them what the program is designed for. We send notices home to parents and tell the parents come and check us out to see if they're interested in the program. We help them understand it's a very serious program. We're here to change your life. We're here to build leadership skills in you. We're here literally to give you a hope and a future that you may not even thought of, because we expose them to different programs, career choices, college choices, and things of that sort. And we start at elementary and we take them all the way through high school.
So kind of give me the run of a day, Ms. Dinkins, on what do you all do when you have the children in your custody?
So right now, we are doing the virtual site where now we get to still be with the kids while they're doing their work. On their break time, we're able to pour into them, listen to them, hear them out, because we know right now is such a pivotal moment where the kids need to be heard. They want to be able to vent and talk and feel relevant. And so we're able to be there with them, walk through life with them, and just give them that safe haven while they're still doing their work.
Are our parents involved in this process?
The parents are involved. We do an orientation with the parents. The parents are involved in that they can come up and volunteer anytime they choose. We do try to reach out to the parents to see what needs they may have so that we can connect them with resources, things that they may need. Because most of the kids that we serve are in a certain demographic in South Memphis. It's in the Alsey Ball community, but we've expanded now that we're virtually now, but we still try to provide resources for the parents as well.
What are some of the issues that you hear about among our young people that you serve?
Well, we've been doing this ministry for 20 years. This year, we celebrated 20 years. And Antoinette was a part of this ministry. She came part of this ministry when she was 11 years old. And when I met her, I mentored her. When I met her, she was filled with anger. She had gone through some traumatic experiences in her life. And she just needed someone she could talk to. And not just, an adult or a teacher, but someone who could really offer her hope. And so she's dealing with the same things today. She's on the front lines today, and I can sure you can attest to some of the same issues.
Many of the issues that I was dealing with at a younger age, now I'm noticing the kids are still dealing with the same thing. So what was instilled in me when I was a part of RTV, I'm now able to give it to the youth of this generation. And it's still, they're hurt, they're losing loved ones. And so with me having those similar situations, I know what they need at this moment.
Is mental health very important in situations or programs like yours?
Absolutely. We offer mostly the spiritual, the academic, and the leadership piece, but we've noticed that mental health is a big issue in our children. And so what we do is try to inform the parents of what we're seeing so that hopefully they can act upon what we see and getting mental health.
Do you get that support from the parents that you need?
We do. They take what we say, to heart. They know that we truly, genuinely care about their children. We're with them a long time, all day. And so they do take to heart what we say, and they try to reach out. And we do refer them to several counselors that we know of that we can refer them to.
I guess I want to ask this question. Why are our young people so angry? Why are they so depressed? I mean, is there anything that you can kind of bring me up to speed on? And what are we doing? Are we really giving them that support that they need to be able to carry on?
Right. Well, I can only speak for the children that we serve. Children that we serve are mostly in single-parent homes. They're in the lower bracket of the poverty level. So all of that is relevant with single parents probably working, trying to make a living for their children, and them having to pretty much be there and raise themselves. Or we've seen where siblings are raising their siblings, children are raising their siblings while parents are trying to make a living. And there are so many different situations or scenarios we could talk about where the child is forced to act like an adult before they even have a skill set. And some of them are really in survival mode. They have gangs coming to them, trying to recruit them. They have peer pressure, they don't have their needs met. Their clothing is not up to par, and they get talked about. And all of this is going on, bullying, and all of this is going on. And so that's why there's real anger there. And that's why it's so important to have organizations such as RTV in various areas of the community where kids can go and be a kid and know that there are people there to look after them, to care for them. We give them spiritual enrichment. We give them the Word of God. We are a faith-based organization. We're Christian. We believe that the gospel is the gospel of Jesus Christ is key to changing the heart of individuals so that they can want to do better and want more for themselves. We've had children who were in gangs who are now lawyers. Children who were selling drugs who are now managers of organizations. And it was because they had a place to go to and people who genuinely cared about them to give them truth, to walk them through and navigate them through their teenage years. And so they gained a desire to want to succeed in life and not become a product of what was around them.
What information can you give a child who want to become a part of the program, but need that parental agreement and what have you? What can they do to get in your program? Because it's outstanding.
Yeah.
But sometimes parents have to be involved according on the age.
Absolutely.
But if a child is underage and they want to become a part of the program, Do you all reach out to that parent? How do you go about doing that?
There are many ways that parents can contact us, children can contact us. We actually have social media outlets. You know, kids are all on social media. We have a Facebook page, Repairing the Breach Memphis. We also have a TikTok, I just learned about this, a TikTok page, which is where most of the kids are. We have an Instagram page. So just go to our website, www.rtbmemphis.org, and send us a message, or you just come to the site, 5270 Riverdale Road. We're located inside of Divine Life Church right now because of the social distancing. Our original space was small. We need more kids to get in the space, so we're there at Divine Life Church in the youth area. They can just come there, fill out the application. Ms. Antoinette Nickel will take parents through our orientation process so they can know what to expect for this program.
Do you have more teenagers, high school students, middle school students, or elementary
It's
students?
actually a great mixture of them all.
Are they like mentors towards the other age group? Do y'all train them to be, help their peer teaching?
A part of one of our programs, the Leadership Academy, we're actually training them and equipping them to be a leader, where they get the opportunity to, well, before we're able to let them go to business trips, they got the exposure. Even now, having that virtual opportunity to, even though we can't be in person, they're able to still get the experience of seeing careers outside of what they see, because many of them they only know what they see right now. So we give them the opportunity where they still see it, it's on the screen, but they're getting to see, like, I could be the next lawyer, I could be the next judge. So it's allowing them to equip them for the real life.
And then also, you know, we have a summer camp program where we were hosting elementary, middle, and high school students. And high school students would have responsibilities to mentor or assist the younger generation as well.
The virtual piece, how long is that virtual component in the afternoon or whenever you start your program? Because I'm just keeping in mind that most of our young people that you deal with are in school, they're on the computer all day. Do you have that involvement with them after school is out? Get back on that computer and stay on for X amount of hours or whatever?
Well, right now, because of the COVID pandemic, we are actually hosting a virtual learning center. So all the children are coming to us in the daytime from 8 till 3. That's our hours. And the kids are in school, they're online, and our staff is there to assist them and make sure that they're involved in their learning and doing what they're supposed to do. And then once the COVID pandemic, we've gotten it under control, we will go back to the after school piece.
Okay. How many students you all have in your program?
We can go up to 50 students right now, but in the summertime we try to scale it down because we are doing more leadership development and training, and we want to make sure that we are pouring into the students and that they are actually getting the things that we need.
Well, if a person wants to know more about repairing the breach, email address, website, want to give that out?
If you would like to enroll your child, you could reach out at antionette.dinkins@RTB Memphis, and you can also call 901-300-0283.
And then parents can also go to our website at www.rtbmemphis.org.
And the age group again?
First grade to 12th grade.
First grade to 12th grade. Well, look, I want to thank you all so very much for coming on today and sharing that valuable information. And you have a powerful, powerful outreach program that I hope our young people will take advantage of. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, we'll be back after these messages.
Public safety is our top priority and a foundation for everything that we do. The Memphis Police Academy is nationally recognized for our academy and its training programs. Our diverse curriculum and instructors prepare our officers to provide exceptional service that builds public trust.
I'm Firearms Instructor Tan Lee. I'm the best in blue. Apply today, and you too can become the best in blue.
We are the best in blue, where we are reimagining policing. To apply, visit joinmpd.com.
Welcome back. It is so important that our young people have a support mechanism when they're not at home, when they're in the streets. It's very important to have organizations that will take an individual in and really kind of mentor and help them navigate in society. My guest is Miss Debbie Holman, liaison for the Memphis Police Department Tillman Station. Welcome, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Doing fine. Why is it so very important to have programs that you oversee in our neighborhoods and in our city?
It's important because right now our youth, we have youth running rampant, and we don't understand what all they're facing at home or in the streets. So what Juvenile Court and Tillman are trying to do, we're trying to provide programs not just for the youth, but for the home as well. You know, parents may need some help. Mom may be unemployed, laid off, dad may be laid off, and the kids are doing what they can do to try to bring money into the home, sometimes. So at Tillman, we started a Boys and Girls Club, Boys and Girls Camp for the summer. And outside of summer, every other week, those kids come in and they do community service projects. They will give fans to elderly people, and they put them in their homes. They clean up the neighborhoods. They just help out so that they understand the importance of being in the street and in the community and giving back to the community. Instead of just always taking, they're giving back. We have them write reports. One of the things that I did at the Tillman precinct with the boys and the girls, I took a vase. Nothing was wrong with it. And I broke it. I didn't smash it, I broke it. And we glued it back with real thick glue. You could see the damage in the vase, but we put water in it, it held water. It was still usable. And I explained sometimes we're damaged, we're broken, but we're still usable. So don't ever think that because you've had a circumstance or something has happened in your life that you're not usable. You are. You're good. I don't look at kids as problems. I look at every child that comes across my desk as an opportunity. Juvenile court is here to rehabilitate. We're not here to put a kid away. It's about rehabilitating that child. Some parents don't have help or don't do the things that we think they should do because they just don't know. So what I love about my job, I get a chance to see what most people don't see. I see inside that youth's home. I see if mom is unemployed. I see if there's a need in the home. Where most of the time we just see from the outside. I'm actually inside, and I get an up close and clear understanding of what that kid needs. So I'm able to say, hey, let me put DCS in the home. Hey, this kid needs anger management. Hey, the family needs counseling. Maybe we can do this. If a parent calls me and they don't have food, I can give them the directions to a food pantry. If a kid is in need of clothing, we can get clothing for that kid. One of the officers at Tillman came to me a long time ago when I first started and said, if you have kids that need uniforms, let me know. So what I do is I'll make a call out to them. Hey, I need uniforms, and they'll provide them. Books, I get an abundance of books. It's important that a kid learns how to read. Not just read, but understand what you're reading. So we give them books. Backpacks. I found out there were kids in the school system that were displaced or homeless. I did a backpack drive. I did a blessing bag drive, where we take personal hygiene items. For the girls, their backpack is different from the boys, but it had a blanket in there. It had sanitary items in there. It had everything for taking a bath, from toothpaste, toothbrush, soap, deodorant, even long sleeve shirts for the winter and short sleeve shirts for the summer, and snacks in that bag. And we gave them to different schools in the Tillman area. We did a coat drive where we gave over 140 coats away. This, at the beginning of the school year, even though they're virtual, Craigmont High School football team needed cleats. And I was blessed with cleats. So every kid on the team got cleats. And something as simple as cleats You know, those boys were so excited because one of them said, Miss Debbie, my mama couldn't afford cleats. She couldn't give me these. So whatever the need is in the community, I'm there to try to help direct and point and connect the dots and bring it together.
What age group do you see the most support you have to give among our youth in the city?
Between 13 and 17. 13 and 17. And not just boys, the girls on the rise too. 13 to 17.
What age group do you see have the, I guess, largest amount of issues that they're going through?
13 to 17.
And what are some of those issues?
They're trying to fit in. They want to be a part of something. They want to belong. They just want to belong. I had a parent who brought her son to Tillman. One of the teachers at Kingsbury said, go see Miss Holman. And mom's thing was, he's not going to school. He just refuses to go to school. And when I spoke to him, they're from Honduras. Mom is not making that much money. And she's gone long hours in the day. That's what he said. She's gone long hours. And I'm trying to hustle to get money for mom, to help mom. And I explained to him, you gotta go to school. You have to go to school. So I asked, what do you want? What do you need? Tell me what you want, what you need, what can I do to help you? And he needed some shoes. He just needed some shoes. He said the kids tease him about his shoes. And I looked at his feet and I noticed he had some gray tape, that duct tape. And I said, what size shoes do you wear? And he told me he wore a 10 and a half. So I called somebody that I knew that worked for Nike and they donated. They found out mom had 4 kids and I got the size for all 4 kids. And they came up to the precinct and I gave them shoes. He has not missed school. He is logging on every day, even though it was virtual. He remembered when he was in school, the kids talked about his shoes. So he has not missed logging on. We also were able to get this kid a job.
Oh, okay.
He has a job. So he can help mom now because he's working at McDonald's and he has a job. But something as simple as that, as small as that, we had a kid who was cutting. He was cutting himself. We didn't know, mom didn't know. And when she brought him up to tell me, I talked to him, what's going on? Why are you cutting? And he explained, his dad is from the Middle East. His mom is Christian. When he goes to dad's house, he can't talk about God. When he comes home, he's undoing everything from dad's house. So I was able to connect the dots. We have a program, a mediation program, but I was able to connect the dots. And now he's doing fine. He has a job. He does not hate going to dad's now. He goes to his dad's house. He looks forward to it. He's at home. He looks forward to it. And this kid has not cut himself in over a year. You know, looking on the outside, you can always say something about a kid from the outside. But what do you see on the inside? We don't know what's going on in their homes. We don't know if they have lights on. We don't know if they have food. We don't know if they have clothing. We don't know if they're being bullied. We don't know. All we see is what they're doing from the outside and what their actions say. So my job is to try to get to know that kid, that family, and see how we can put wraparound services in place to keep that kid from committing a crime.
You know, since we're virtual, how difficult is that for you to keep up with a young person?
It's challenging.
Okay.
It's a challenge, but it's not impossible. There's some families I talk to weekly, some families I've Zoomed in with them just to say, hey, how you doing? The kid who wouldn't go to school, who wouldn't log on at Kingsbury, he calls me every morning, Monday through Friday, to say, hey, Miss Debbie, I'm logging in. hey, Miss Debbie, I'm out of school. Even if he leaves me a message, that's fine. He feels comfortable with me to know that I care enough about him to help get him and his brothers some shoes. And he thinks, hey, Miss Debbie, I'm calling. I don't have a problem with that. I like that.
Building relationships are so very important. And I know you are just one person. Do you have other individuals that help you in this line of work?
Oh yeah. When I came to Tillman, the first thing I did was meet different pastors at different churches located in the Tillman area. Not just Tillman, but Tillman is a broad area. I didn't just meet the pastors. I wanted to meet their people. I wanted to know if there were any programs that church offered for the community. I wanted to know if they did any food giveaways. If so, what days? Do you have a community person? If you do, can I get his or her number and name? I wanted to know what they offered the community because that's my resource. I didn't just stop with the churches. I went to different businesses. Tillman has a business meeting and an apartment meeting twice a month. So it was important that I knew who was running that apartment complex because they could help me out. What are you guys doing in the apartments? Is it any problems you're having? What do you need help with? Can you direct parents to me if there's a problem? The thing is to keep the kid out of the system. Don't ever let them come into the system. And if we can bypass that and get to that kid and reach that kid and that family, then they don't touch juvenile court. Then they don't commit a crime. Then they know we can help. Kids who have, I met with the people over here, the boxing place, City of Memphis Boxing. They loved it. I met with different businesses, different churches, and every school in the Tillman area, the principal, assistant principal, disciplinary officers, they know me.
Do we have other precincts involved, like the Tillman precinct and you?
There are 3 precincts that have liaisons. Old Allen, which is now Austin P. Mr. Anthony Clear, he's the precinct liaison at that precinct. And Shirley Armstrong is at the Mount Moriah precinct. And everybody's doing the same job. They may do something a little different because they may have a different type of kid in their area. Tillman is very diverse. We have a lot of refugee kids. We have poor black, poor white, rich black, rich white, and a bunch of Hispanic kids. So it's a good mixture. And what I love about it is learning their culture. You don't ever know. I had a kid who they didn't know, and they were new to America. I didn't know this. And when we went to the home because there was a problem with the kid, I found out they had never had a refrigerator. And they didn't know to cut the refrigerator on in the apartment complex. So something just that simple. And when they found out, it was like, oh, so now you don't smell the way you smell because that's what it was from. So it's amazing at what we can do as a whole. I appreciate you, Griffin, I really do, because I can contact you, I can call on you for your services to help out in need. It's just about everybody coming together, working collectively. Kroger's giving snacks. People giving uniforms, making donations. Being able to point if there's a need for a kid and getting it done. But it takes a village to raise a child, and we're that village.
If an individual wants to get more information about the program that you have in place, is there a website, email address, telephone number?
They can call me at the Tillman precinct. Their number is 636-3000. And all they got to do is ask for Miss Debbie. Everybody knows Miss Debbie.
But thank you so very much, Debbie, for coming on and sharing that valuable information, because we really want to make sure all our children are successful. Thank you for joining.
You're welcome.
Please feel free to email
Join us every second and fourth Tuesday for True Blue Tuesdays, educating our youth on the law, law enforcement, and individual rights.